Now we have numbers.
And we have phones going off and all kinds of cool shit. Yeah, that's great. Welcome to the Cleveland Moto Podcast number 375. 375. That's 3 3/4 if you're interested. Yeah. The venerable 3 3/4. We're here. It is Christmas birthday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, who said Christmas only comes once a year?
Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith. And it's the birthday, so you should be at home, all right? Super fun, super cool. We have just now, for people that don't work at the shop anymore, Sleepy.
Volunteered.
He volunteered. Sleepy's got gainful employment.
Yeah. After all that fucking around and stuff, I took a full-time gig with the Golf Channel. It's fucking crazy.
Cleaning out the holes.
He's still in the rough.
Yeah.
So in case anybody would like to know,
Yeah.
you are going to give a ringing endorsement to what urinary tract displacement method?
I have no.
You have no idea.
That was this other guy. What are
That
you
was this
talking
other
about?
guy.
Hey.
Right. So in case anybody's keeping track of things, yeah.
But yeah, I got a job. So
Right
it starts
on.
Tuesday.
Woo!
And I went from filming flowers, which obviously is my favorite thing in the world.
Certain kinds of flowers.
And now I'm just going to have to force myself to film dragsters and custom car builds and the street outlaw guys and things like that.
Fuck yeah.
So, yeah, I'll be working at Summit Racing, which is kind of cool.
That is fucking cool. That's great.
Yeah, I need tires too, by the way.
What's the discount for the podcast?
Employee discount. Employee discount.
Oh,
Well,
man.
they did inform me. That was like one of their selling points. So they said up to $5,000 at cost. And then if you need
What?
more.
I'd like a 502 crate motor, please.
Right. And then if you have a project and you're working on something and you need more, you can apply for another $10,000 at 7% over cost.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's good.
I need two 502s.
Oh, you know what? Fuck the 401k.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, seriously.
But if you get caught reselling it,
No, you're not
Which,
reselling
yeah,
it.
of course, I'm not, you know,
You
but
don't, that's not, look, that's not the angle anybody who works there should be working.
You're not reselling it. I'm just paying for it.
right. Well, no, but they actually said, like, if you have a friend and you guys are working on a project, you know, whatever, do you things like that. But I did find out that they actually do sell motorcycle parts, too.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But if you look, like, so there's Summit branded stuff, and
Okay.
I think that's
Yeah.
the deals. Like,
All right.
if you get that at cost, that's a deal.
All right.
But if you get, like, you know, they're importing Karyakin.
Okay, right.
You know the margins
Yeah, I know
on
how that
that,
works.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's no profit on a profit on a profit.
No.
Yeah, that's not it.
No.
Right. But if it's their shit,
Then,
rock on, man.
then you can get a pretty. Apparently, this one guy built a $30,000 race car for $15,000.
Okay. All right.
So I mean, like, you know, it can add up.
Yeah.
I'm not building a race car anytime soon, so that's not going to be a problem for me.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
We had the distinguished. So first of all, let's do roll call. To my left.
Dan KROMKE.
To his left.
Bob Kudamash.
You gotta
Bob.
talk into the microphone, Bob.
Bob Kudamash or
Bob.
Harley Bob.
Harley Bob is back, man. Yeah, we love that.
That was only a 3-month sentence.
My word for the day tomorrow is going to be kudamash.
Kudamash. It was a plea bargain. He's back. To his left is.
We just say cootie for short.
Bob Kudamash.
Me,
So, Bob,
Steve,
how do you
Stevie.
spell Kudamash? It's the traditional way.
Absolutely. With all the letters except for 10.
Coupe de Mash. And to his left is
Me, Steve, Sleepy.
Sleepy Corporate Steve. And to his left,
BB, birthday boy.
birthday boy. And again, what did you say? What did you say? He was a hard 53?
Hard 53.
Yeah, 53 the hard way.
53 the hard way. So, and to his left,
Johnny Mac.
and to his left.
Steve Hoffert.
So good, nice round table today. We got 7 warm bodies here. Oscar's somewhere in Milwaukee doing something awful to a human, I guess. We can only assume. Yeah, that's what he's up to.
You got to do a shout out.
Yes, we do have to do a shout out. So Chris brought us in these awesome decals, and they are Saint Javelin, the protector of Ukraine. And this, you should look this up because this icon of Saint Javelin is, some of you guys know, I am a regular Army. I'm a tanker by trade. And if you're a tanker in today's day and age, there's only one thing you're truly frightened of, and it's the word Javelin, right? Absolutely. Or Javelin compatible. And not like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
My God, something going on. We got something strange vehicle. Oh, that was his phone. All right. Yeah, okay, now we know what it was.
Probation officer check-in.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
He's all excited about his scooter he's getting tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. Spawn of GSG. It's electric. Boogie, oogie, oogie. We'll talk about those in a minute. So St. Javelin, the protector of Ukraine. That's badass. I'm wearing my Ukrainian Go-Go Bordello shirt today. Right on. So,
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, one way or the other, if we can't be there, if we can't be throwing rocks with these poor people that are at this point throwing rocks, I mean, look, I'd like to. Don't get me wrong. But we'll support them any goddamn way we can, right? That's all you can do. Support them any goddamn way you can. Say nice things. If that's what you can do, say nice things. If you can shoot a little money their way, shoot a little money their way. Whatever. Just be glad it's not your street.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. We all talk a good game about, well, if they were rolling down my street, I'll tell you what I'd do. Ooh, man. Yeah. Unless you've got...
said that 60% of the people would run.
I'd be higher than that, I believe.
No,
I'd be
they
higher
had a
than that.
poll. They actually had a
I agree.
poll that said
Yeah.
if America was invaded, what would you do?
Right.
60% cut and run.
You guys have seen my basement. You know what kind of A-bag I go to war with, and you understand what my house is and what kind of armament we have there. And my primary response still involves somebody else's boat to Canada, right? Because I will live longer, live to fight another day kind of mentality. I'm not going to be the last man, standing, defending Herman Drive. There's no glory in that.
That's a high-value target.
It is a high-value target. Yeah. Have you seen my street? But no, I mean, my primary go-to-war plan is get the fuck out, right? And that's being said from the guy that is...
A tanker.
A tanker, has been trained in escape and evasion, has been trained in all kinds of survival fun stuff, but more importantly, understands that nothing in my basement is better than a AT-4, an anti-tank weapon. Nothing in my basement is better than a cluster bomb. Nothing in my basement is better than a small dose of white phosphorus. I am still a soft, gooey, sticky individual, and I don't want anything that the military design pointed at me, ever.
Before you were married, was that on your dating profile?
Yep.
I hear there's 4 nukes aimed at J-Town.
Well, there weren't before, but now there are. Right? Yeah, that's there you go. Exactly.
Steve's a nice guy. He's been watching Putin and writing down all his moves to take over J-Town.
There you go. Yeah. So
To lose to J-Town.
I've started erecting the Iron Curtain.
exactly. Yeah.
Actually, he's been building the Iron
He
Curtain
literally is moving containers into a configuration to block you out.
around. They're like too high. Everywhere I look, there's steel.
Yeah, and that's how you know
and
you.
he tries to jump up on him, and it's funny because he's like...
So basically, J-Town's become gentrified.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it ruined your property value.
And one more container, and I won't even see Shitsville. I mean, Sville.
So
But I have the power, the water, the sewer.
there you go. Yeah.
He's got himself.
Yeah. I've got a very
Wait
sharp
a second.
stick.
Wait. Have you ever heard of a self-contained RV?
Right, exactly.
That has power,
Right.
water.
There you go.
And then when he puts his pipe toward S-Town,
Right.
it'll literally be S-Town.
It'll be S-Town. If anybody's thinking about going to Europe, the dollar is kind of hovering around €1, 6, or 7. So it's a really good time if you were thinking about going to Europe to maybe buy some euros. You can do that. Talk to your bank. You can buy some euros. And maybe if you're going to be going to Europe in July or August or something, you might buy your euros now.
You would have been better off to buy the ruble because the ruble is like insanely. It's stronger than it's been.
Well, I was going to say
for years.
I was going to say the ruble now. It's hard to do the math on the ruble because the numbers are kind of vague, but they're small. But the ruble is more powerful in this particular circumstance. Now, that value could alter very quickly. You think?
Yeah, but it went from like 2 cents to now it's worth 33 cents.
Right. Yeah. Right now a ruble is worth.
Do you remember when I said
Water vodka.
you should buy a ruble?
Right. So right now, just for people that are kind of curious into what that is, because we have podcast listeners and they care. So a ruble was not even 1/1 thousandth of a dollar in March. And now the ruble is right around
1 cent.
2 cents.
Oh, 2, yeah.
Yeah, almost 2 cents. So that's a dramatic increase, and it's
because they're forcing people to buy oil.
and that's exactly what it is. And that's not the highest it's been ever, because it hasn't. That's not at all true, because when you look at 2018, the number was actually higher. It was about 1.8 cents for a ruble. So it's not
if it
like
wasn't for that one fact alone, with
Right.
all the sanctions and everything, it would be 1/10
right,
of 100.
right. And what we can say that's it's very clear is that in March the ruble had never been lower. That's a factual statement. So in March the ruble had never been lower, and now the ruble is getting kind of up to where it was before.
Could have been 0, but it
Could have been 0. That's an interesting thing. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. But right now the euro
could have had to pay people to take rubles.
Well, and right now the euro is particularly low against the dollar. So it's a great time for an American to decide to go fuck off and travel around in Europe. So it's a really good time.
Isn't that what you're doing?
I don't know that anybody.
I'll be doing a little bit of that
rubles
this
in
year,
Europe,
yeah.
though. I mean, they could fuck
well,
off
not-
and travel around Russia if they
Well, no,
want.
but the point is to buy euros and travel in Europe with American dollars. That's my point is. Not talking
buy
about
euros or to buy
no,
rubles.
we're not talking about rubles.
Okay.
We're done with rubles.
So,
Yeah.
no,
Nobody's talking about buying rubles and traveling in Russia. That's a bad fucking idea.
Well, my question would be if it's that low,
Right.
does it cost like $1 million rubles to buy something in Russia, like a loaf of bread?
No,
Or, I mean,
because I'm sorry, God, I didn't mean to shout at you. There is inflation. Inflation is happening, and there's plenty of YouTube channels you can watch where people kind of show you their day to day, take you on a walk through the grocery store, maybe take you down to the car dealership and show you what's going on. They are experiencing some pretty radical inflation. They got some pretty serious shortages, but it's not crazy. It's not like when I was a teenager, a young adult, and Uncle Sam paid me to take my dollars and move them into Deutschmarks and then move my Deutschmarks into Ostmarks, DDR money, East German money, in which case it was like a 20-to-1 ratio. And you're like, I have too much money. Like they only let me have $300 a day, but God damn it, that's like 30,000, Ostmarks or whatever. It was a ton of money back in the 80s. And it was literally, you could just, what are you going to buy? You can only buy so many Zeiss binoculars, There's only so many blankets you can buy, because you got to bring it back the same day. Back then, during the Cold War time in the 80s, we could go into East Berlin, but we had to come back that night. And you could only go in your Class A's. So if you went through Checkpoint Charlie, you were coming back a short number of hours later.
what was the car they manufactured in East Germany?
There was, the Trabant gets a lot of
Trabant,
press.
yeah.
Yeah, the Trabant, and of course the other is the Wartburg. The Wartburg was another one. The Trabants were particularly awful. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the Trabant was, there's not too much, because the car's basically paper mache, right?
It's like a Fiat 124, right?
No, it's far worse than that.
How can anything be worse than a Fiat 124?
Well, I'm going to pull the picture up,
Trabant.
and then you can tell me how it's worse than a Fiat 124.
I like that.
Yeah, I knew you would. God, you're such a fucking freak. Granted, this is the nicest Trabant that you've ever seen.
It looks like a Fiat fucked a squareback.
Again, and we're not talking, this is not a 1959.
Is
This
the
is
fuel
a
tank under the hood?
1989. Yes, it is. I'm glad you asked.
On
To
top of the
preheat
motor.
the fuel.
It's a two-stroke.
The motor.
It's a two-stroke. Yep.
Oh,
it's
look
a
at the
two-stroke.
expansion chamber.
Yeah, it's a two-stroke. But these things were hot garbage. You can tell it's a two-cylinder because it has two coils. Yeah. Because it didn't use a distributor ignition like we're
Is
traditionally
that one a
thinking
pickup
of.
truck there?
Well, that's a custom Trabant. Yeah, but no shit. When the wall came down, we were using great American M1A1 tanks to push these fuckers off the Autobahn. Like straight up Helmstedt Autobahn, we were shoving these things into ditches left, right, and center.
Bet you there's a lot of parts availability for those.
But who would? Yeah, again, they're hanging from the ceiling in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they are hot garbage. I mean, they are legitimately hot garbage. There's not a, and I'm sure I'm going to piss off the Trabant Owners Association of America, but they're
TBA.
they're fucking
All
weird.
32 of them.
Oh, they're on a dial-up. Yeah, they're not getting this. They're getting a fucking podcast. But Trabants were tremendously.
Look at that pimped out one.
Oh yeah, tremendously bad cars. And the Wartburg, which was the 3-cylinder, was what my in-laws had. They came across the border in a Wartburg 3-cylinder, and they made it. They made it to West Germany on 2 out of 3 cylinders. And but that gives you an idea of how fucking awful the cars were in the Soviet bloc, so the USSR cars, Warsaw Pact. But they were just garbage. And the thing about like they were trading Trabants for a pair of jeans, that's like the story that everybody says, oh my God, I could trade a pair of Levi's for a Trabant. No.
The bad deal.
The Trabants were free. No, let's just say what it was. Trabants were free. The story about trading a pair of Levi's for a Trabant, whatever. Yeah. All you had to have was a way to get the Trabant back home because they were just abandoned on the Helmstedt Autobahn. So you didn't have to trade a pair of jeans for one.
Because people drove them as far as they could, jumped out and walked across the board.
You got it. And they left the keys on the dashboard. They weren't planning on getting to wherever they were going to be in West Germany and then turning around and going back for their fucking Trabant. That Trabant was a part of their lifestyle they never wanted to see ever again. So, yeah, but it was awful fucking car. Absolute garbage. But yeah, they were absolutely really made of paper mache. For real. So, yeah, not a great car. Super, super not a great car. So we haven't seen the episode yet live, but apparently I was on People's Court today. Yeah, so I was on the People's Court today.
Did you win?
It aired. Oh, I did win because I participated in it like 2-3 months ago. And we did win against a customer that demanded their deposit back based on the law of buyer's remorse.
Who was the judge?
The judge.
Oh, is it just
he doesn't have
the
a name.
judge?
No.
It's not like
No, she has a name, my friends. Oh, she has a name. And she is the most infectious personality of the People's Court ever. She is hilarious. She is a Latina firecracker of the highest order. She makes the People's Court way more fun than Wapner ever did. She's exactly what the People's Court needed to be watchable. She's quite the judge. She is
like what I'm saying.
Judging by her pictures, yes, she is.
She is loads of fun. And what's
2
interesting,
stars.
2 giant stars.
Those are pasties.
But just to bring you up to speed, when I did this court trial, it was all done on the Zoom cast and things like that. And there's a screen behind for people who can't see the one on the table. But for people who are curious about such things, one, if the word deposit means that you do not get your money back unless you return the item the deposit was paid for. Get it? So when you buy a bottle of pop and it comes with a 5-cent deposit, you're paying for that 5-cent deposit when you buy the bottle of pop.
you need to secure the bottle.
You now are the temporary owner of the bottle. Should you choose to be the permanent owner of the bottle, they've been prepaid for the bottle.
Right, you keep the bottle.
But if you return the bottle, then you get your 5 cents. We all know the way. Everyone at this table understands the way deposits work. But if you're going to pay me a deposit to hold a piece of inventory for you for any period of time, or to order a special piece of inventory in for you, and you later change your stupid mind, I mean, reconsider, then you don't get your deposit back because I've already gone through the machinations of obtaining for you such property.
But I thought you were like the bank. I make a deposit, I can come get it.
There you
anytime I want.
go. Right. So the good news was I wasn't the only one that felt that way, as Steve found out earlier today. We printed out the definition, according to Cambridge, and the Oxford definition of deposit. And I didn't even need to bring that up in court because it turns out the Honorable Judge Marilyn Milan,
She knew.
she knew.
Who knew she'd know?
And you know what? It's almost like she'd studied. It was almost like she'd been through this before. Our plaintiff, who showed up in his pajamas, not having yet mastered the art of the Zoom call, he told the judge he had a 720 credit score. None of that matters.
Yeah, right.
None of that matters. In fact, she said, "Well, then that's great. Then show us where you got denied for credit." Because we did. We ran him through for credit, and he got denied. I have nothing to do with that. I didn't deny him. The creditors denied him, but he assured us he had a 720 credit score. He assured the judge he had a 720 credit score, but he was unable to produce for the judge either his credit score or even a denial letter from it stating why he was denied. In any case, his case suffered a little So he lost. But if you're on the people's court and you lose, you still get $500 for being on. And that happened to be the amount of the deposit.
So
So win-win. He's done.
And
him.
if you win, you get $750.
Nice.
So I got the deposit and $750.
nice.
So I'm a super duper winner.
And you bought pizza tonight. That was very
But
sweet of you.
let me tell you why I'm a loser though. Because today that episode aired.
Oh, yeah.
Today that episode aired.
Let me guess. This is somebody that never shopped here, but they saw the episode and have made a decision.
This is that kind of person that watches the People Court at 2:30 p.m. or whatever when it airs live.
Oh, wow.
I just watched an episode on People's Court. The customer had great credit, 720 and higher. The company will make you pay a deposit or to a third-party financing company. If you are denied, then he keeps your deposit. Seems like a bait and take situation. Since the bottom says deposits are not refundable. Avoid this place. 1 star. So somebody who watched a TV show based on an entertainment-based TV show has left me a 1-star review on my corporate reviews site, on my Google corporate for my business. So in case you thought about going into business for yourself and maybe you had the great idea and you wanted to be an entrepreneur, people are monsters.
Oh, dude.
Just letting you know,
I was here
people
for 6
are
weeks.
monsters.
I was volunteering here for 6 weeks.
Right.
And I hate everyone now. I walk through stores going, this guy's a cocksucker. This dude sucks. Fuck this guy. I'm serious. Like, and what people don't realize, I think I even said it last time, like you hear Phil's stories and you're like, oh, he has to be exaggerating. He actually is downplaying most of this shit. I could not believe the shit coming out. Because, like, when it gets interesting, you purposely put it on speakerphone in the morning so, like, Renee and everybody can hear it. And there are some that are just interesting, man. Unbelievably interesting.
You did tell that story last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
And then Chet
right?
becomes younger and younger.
And yeah, it just keeps creeping up on me. Now that being said, though, people do listen to this podcast, and so when people listen to this podcast, we will get emails like the following email.
Oh, good.
Because people listen to this podcast. We do appointments only at my shop. And this gentleman writes in and says, I wanted to pop up on a Friday or Saturday to look at the Vespa 300s. I see only by appointment, but wondered if you guys could shoot me an email or text when you know you'll have a few appointments and the doors would be open. I promise not getting in the way. I know you're busy. I would like to just familiarize myself with them in person. Probably won't be purchasing one from you until July or September timeframe. Thank you for your valuable time. And if this is an unreasonable request, I do apologize. My intention is not to make the douche designation, but to be a cool guy. Gentlemen, the podcast is working. We are educating society, one potential customer at a time. I'm totally okay with that. Yeah, so that's fucking hilarious. When we get that kind of stuff, I just die. You think that you think that our one listener? Yeah. But no, we have 2 listeners. At least 2 listeners. Yeah, exactly. He called a friend. He let somebody in on it. So super, super fucking cool. I gave everybody homework. I don't know if anybody did their homework.
Oh, I did. I love a good homework.
So we've been having, in case anybody's gone out right now and tried to buy motorcycles recently, it can be a little bit of a challenge. I'm part of a motorcycle industry council. We talk to each other. We express our needs and desires, or mostly just bang our heads against the screen and scream into the void about what it's like to be a motorcycle dealer in today's market. I have 1 million customers and 3 bikes. That's usually what's going on, right? I have people calling me for bikes that were on my website a year and a half ago. Do you still have that?
Refresh.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, refresh your goddamn computer, bud. So it is hilarious. So what's happened is I've got a lot of people saying, well, what if I import a bike? Or what if I bring a bike in from another country? And I recently talked to one of our podcast listeners who was going to be bringing a motorcycle in from Canada. He'd given up trying to find the bike of his dreams here in the United States. He had found a motorcycle in Kazakhstan. And he was gonna go up to the Great White North, hire a team of Huskies, go get this bike in question, and then somehow transport this bike across yonder border into the United States And it's not even a bike that he couldn't buy here. Like, it's straight up, it's a bike you could buy here.
Would it be a Canada motorcycle, not a Canadian motorcycle?
Yeah. We respect the Canada Goose around here. If you got a problem with that, you can talk to me outside. Yeah.
Do they have import restrictions like they do on cars?
They do, and it's exactly the same. I'm glad you asked. So now the one thing that gets you around that is if the model in question is the exact same model that was sold in the United States. So you could go over the border, like I did, and you could buy like a 1998 Previa and bring it into the United States, provided that they sold that same model in the United States, so that the vehicle's the same. But what you can't do is you can't go across the border and buy an RZ500 Yamaha unless it's over 25 years old. Now, if it's over 25 years old, game on, because the standard rules apply. If it's over 25 years old, you can bring it across. Don't have to worry about the EPA. Don't have to worry about the customs. Don't have to worry about a lot of things if it's over 25 years old. Okay? And NHTSA doesn't matter. DOT, EPA doesn't matter. Enjoy your over 25-year-old vehicles. Bring them across the border. But Renee and I had just a hell of a shit time bringing across a 1-year-old Piaggio MP3 500 that was totaled out and had literally, it was totaled out. The insurance company had said it has no value. So we brought it across for parts in the back of the truck. That did not go so well. Yeah, Bruce, the Canadian customs agent, had no sense of humor at all.
Not Dudley Do-Right.
No, Dudley done much. He kept us there till shift change. So we were there for over 5 hours. And basically when they did the shift change and the new sergeant came in, he goes, I don't know why you're here, and I don't want you to tell me, but you should leave now.
Okie doke.
We timed out the customs system.
No shit.
Because he didn't want to inherit the previous staff's problems. God bless him. So we got the fuck out of there. As in the military, we used to say, I unfucked the AO right quick in a hurry. Right? So there we go. So anybody would like to go and announce the bike that is truly forbidden fruit? Anyone?
I have a couple.
Okay, well, one to get started, Steve.
Okay. I'd like the story behind this one too, but I would love to get a Suzuki GS 1200 SS.
Oh.
So the story behind it is...
Talk more and I'll pull up the screen. I'll pull up the shot, a good picture. A picture
basically,
that looks...
you know how we're all buying the motorcycles of our youth?
Yes.
So in Japan, they couldn't have a GSXR 1100 because the limit was 750.
Correct.
And so many men wish they could have had the GSXR 1100 back in 1987. So they finally lifted that restriction around the 90s or something. And then in the 2000s, they literally brought back the 1987 GSXR 1100 and called it the GS 1200 SS.
Yeah.
Which is fucking cool.
It is fucking cool. And if you do get it in the blue and white livery, I've only ever seen it in blue and white. I did not know that they did this red and black, which is quite fetching. And that's true. And so that machine, now, what I think so this is a Japanese market only?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Japanese market only. And it literally, the only thing they changed was the brakes.
It sure does look like a Bandit frame.
It might be a Bandit frame.
Because it doesn't look like a perimeter aluminum box frame.
Yeah, well, they said that the motor is basically the same. They bored it out a little bit, whatever, but it holds all, it has the same classic styling minus the bottom of the fairing and stuff. But
yeah, and this is that very early. Like, this bike does not look like a 2003.
No. And they kind of took, like, the original GSXR and kind of bozo-zooked the fucking...
It does look a little Boso style. That back seat looks totally unsittable. Right?
It's got the bug eyes kind of lifted.
It does have the lifted. The headlights look about 7 inches taller than they should be.
Yep.
Yeah.
I dig it though.
And if I saw this bike on the road, there's no way in the world that I would think this wasn't
an old bike.
An 80s bike.
Right.
Like, if I saw this, I'd be screaming, yeah, this is 86, 87, 88. So that's the Suzuki GS 1200 SS.
Yep.
Damn. That is a really fucking weird bike. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was off my fucking radar.
About 4 years, you could start importing them.
Yeah, right. It's going to be a little while. It's going to be a minute, but That thing is just crazy. And again, it's basically it's a Bandit with a bunch of body work on it.
Well, but I guess the motor, because the Bandit motor was a generation of the GSXR motor.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I'm sure that's like when I'm looking at it, when I'm looking at every picture I can see of it, all the hardware on the cases and an engine, everything looks very Bandit-ish.
Yeah.
It looks very Bandit-ish. Super cool. Man, that's a good one, man. That's a very good one. So, yeah, that's the GS 1200 SS. And, yeah, never going to see one of those in the States. Holy shit.
Which one did I pick?
I don't know. Oh, yeah. You picked that one right there.
I can't even see the damn thing.
Oh. So Harley Bob picked the 2014 Yamaha XJR 1300, which is not what you think it is.
Yeah, okay, wait a second. 2014 Yamaha XJR.
XJR
All right. Yeah, okay.
1300.
I think I'm tracking you. But you're right. I'm losing something in the translation, apparently. Oh, yeah, there it is. Jesus Christ, it's Meckelfresh's big one with the wrong badge on it. Holy shit. This is a Honda big one, but 14 years too late to the party.
Yep.
Is that the 1300?
This is the 1300.
They're cool.
That is something.
Thanks for stealing my bike.
Oh, great.
Yeah, because you totally had
Actually, I
it.
hadn't done it.
I studied very hard.
That was Harley Bob's bike. by
And
the way.
honestly, that's an 8 to 10-year-old bike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
It's cool looking.
Man, it is cool looking.
And we didn't get it.
And we didn't get it. We didn't get that fucking bike. Holy crap. What market was this in, do you think?
I don't
Anybody know? I mean, it's off my radar. I have no
It was in
idea.
Europe and
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
Never made it to the States.
Never made it to the States. Yeah, that's crazy because, God, it does look like the Honda big one, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just they just brought it back as a 1300.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
something.
Yamaha.
And everybody's like, it has power everywhere.
I'm sure it does. Jesus Christ. And they made the bike from 1999 to 2016.
Yeah.
So holy shit, that bike. And our British people are like, yeah, no shit, you fucking muppet. What the
No
fuck?
replacement for displacement.
Yeah. I'm sure British people are like, yeah, I tripped over 2 of these on my way to the toilet this morning. So, but yeah, that's fucking cool, man. And again, in 2015, they added, like, rather than change the bike, they just added a bunch of like go faster holes to it and put, billet aluminum everywhere and put Öhlins suspension on it, whatnot. So they didn't really fix the bike or do anything to it. They just made it better.
Yeah, it's Yamaha, so that's from the SCR
Yeah,
900,
right.
and that's from the, whatever.
But it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, it's beautiful. My fucking God, man. Yeah, 2015. That thing's...
It's kind of, to me,
Dead
that one that
sexy.
you were just having showing up there.
Yeah.
That'd be like if they brought, obviously this is Yamaha, but if Honda re-brought out the CBX, I think it would look something like that.
Yeah, but you know what? If you don't put 6 cylinders on a
Well,
CBX,
of course.
fuck you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
you can't do that.
Which I don't. I kind of don't want them to do that. Right. Yeah. So, all right. Who else has got a bike for me?
I got one.
Okay.
The Brixton
Oh.
Rayburn 125.
Oh boy.
That's a HOFFERT bike.
That is a HOFFERT bike. Holy shit! You're digging in his patch.
The Royal Matte Blue right there.
The Brixton Rayburn 125 for only €3,000. Damn.
No, 3.99 euros.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, right. And that is 3,100 euros. So, okay, that is a little bike. That's a little tiny bike, a 125cc, clearly based on, the overhead valve motor.
It's got a Janus motor.
It's got half a Janus motor, man.
right,
It's
right.
got half a Janus. Right. And it's got the little leather baggies on
Got a
it.
sprung seat.
I would say that's an artistic exercise, that seat, because you can see where they took off what should be a regular seat and made some cantilevered contraption there. Like, that is one of those things where they were like, if you look at that frame on that motorcycle, you're like, that is every motorcycle ever, right? CV350, you name it, right? But then somebody was like, but it has to have springs under the seat. And they went, okay, shut the fuck up. We'll put springs under the seat. And there you go. So now you got a Springer saddle somewhere that didn't need to be a Springer saddle. But I definitely see what you're going for there. And of course it has the Firestone replica tires, but a 125cc pea shooter. Yeah. And it says for no nonsense riders. And yeah, I can definitely pick up on that. That thing is for real. Which is funny because this is the inner city cousin of the Sunray. Quite something.
Wait, is that the same company that copied the Bonneville?
Yes.
Brixton?
Yeah, Brixton Cycles. Yeah, they do. Brixton does a lot of different bikes.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool,
This is their 250, the Cromwell. Yep, the Cromwell. Yep. So there you go. Yeah, so there you go. That is a bike with what do they call it? English sensibility and Chinese manufacturing. Nothing bad could ever possibly happen. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
I got one more.
Chris, fire away.
Kawasaki Estrella.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
ES.
Yeah, I know the spelling.
You need a more comfortable, supportive chair.
Chris, you are in your fucking lane. Let me tell you, man. Now, the one thing that I will say about this is a motorcycle for people who are not encumbered by a girlfriend.
Yeah.
It is.
Or legs.
It
Look at
is
the seat.
specifically. Yeah, right.
It looks pre-crashed.
Right.
Like
Steve.
somebody hit the seat and it moved forward.
It literally is like, I went out in the garage last night and I caught you fucking your motorcycle. And you went,
What was that bike that you were talking about? The Honda, it was like not a dream.
the 125 last week.
What's that?
Oh, the Solo.
Yeah, the
Solo
Solo.
kind of looks
right.
like the Solo.
Yeah, it does. It does look like a Solo. It
Some
sure
more
does.
Ballses.
With more balls is.
Bigger version of the Solo.
I do like the way they say rare in the United States, 1994 Kawasaki Estrella. It is very rare in the United States because I don't think anybody ever imported one.
They were
so-
saying they never came in.
I don't think they did. Yeah, I don't think there's a hint of emissions control on that vehicle. Yeah, so that's an interesting bike, and of course, we know that particular motor is a dead reliable straight vertical 125. It's never going to die. What is interesting though is that they made it with a drum front brake.
Oh, yeah.
And now that drum front brake isn't going to help it stop. Quite the contrary. But it sure looks the business, doesn't it? So, that drum front brake really does make that bike harder to identify how new it is.
Yeah.
So when you see that big front rotor on there, you're like, yeah, okay, we know what that is. But then when you see it with the drum front brake on it, the Kawasaki Estrella starts to look older than it is by a good goddamn bit. That's pretty cool, man. I like that. Uh-oh. Getting away from you guys. All right, so that's pretty cool,
It
Chris.
reminds me of like a TU 250.
It is. It's half of a TU 250, right? It's like one half of a TU 250. That's bad as fuck. I like that. Yeah, that's cool. That's got good personality too. I like it. But that seat placement is like
It's insane.
that seat placement.
Is it adjustable? Can you slide it back?
No.
Because you're sitting on the gas tank.
No, every picture is literally the same thing.
You're sitting on your nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, look,
Or I am.
Well, the gas tank, it must have like a little,
I
nut
cannot-
recess in there.
I cannot Google search fat fucker sitting on a Kawasaki Estrella, or I would. If I could Google search fat fucker sitting on a Kawasaki Estrella, I'd be all over that.
Oh, look at John
John's
taking
like,
care of his boss.
fuck you, I'm getting my own chair. Yep. So
He got that
that's
for
cool.
Chris. It's his birthday. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Right. That's a major upgrade for Chris's birthday.
No.
Yeah. That's for HOFFERT? Oh, look at him. What a nice guy.
Yeah, you got to slide over, Slick. Now you're in the middle of the shot.
He's coming back in.
Okay.
He needs some back support.
Fair enough. Yep.
All the way back.
What about my legs? What about...
Who needs anything while I'm up? Who needs a refresher?
All right, we're off the rails.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad. So, all right.
That's super cool.
What's that? No, I'm good. I got my water and my bourbon. I'm looking pretty
the
cool right
problem
now.
that I had with this challenge, I'm taking it as a challenge.
Yeah,
not
it's a
really
challenge. Yep.
But it's like, can I go through time and space and bring it? You know what I mean? If I could go back and have any bike that was never sold here, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy, wacky stuff that would be cool.
Absolutely. And
But
that's
if I
what-
wanted to go with something current, I think I might go for a CB350 from India at their current market
at the
price.
current market price too.
Yeah, I want to buy it
Right.
in whatever
New Delhi or whatever.
in New Delhi.
Yeah.
For like $4,000.
Yeah, the bike that anybody who's listened to our podcast knows that I'm extraordinarily queer for this Suzuki SW1.
That is super cool.
And it's a 250cc. It's basically the same motor that got shoved into a TW.
And that's not super old though. I mean, that's
TU?
fairly new.
Well, no, it's 1992.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a 60s.
I was going to say, in our
It's
world...
not as old as it looks.
Right. In our world, 1992 is fucking modern, right? And so, yeah, this is a 1992 bike. And they only manufactured it for 92 and 93.
It would be super cool.
Right. And you guys remember from years ago, our friend Chris Ashmore from the Cafe Racer, now the Two Wheels podcast, when he was at Mid-Ohio, when we had that big camper. So he's a Navy guy, and he's in Japan right now. And I have told Chris, I told Crash, he is authorized to spend my money to buy this motorcycle. They only came in one color. And so if he can find this motorcycle, doesn't need to have a sidecar, but if he can find this motorcycle, that I will pay for it. And he will drive it as long as he wants to in Japan. Because he's a Navy guy, which means the Navy will ship his bike back for him for free. And then I'll just go out to San Diego and pick it up.
Was that a left-handed sidecar?
That was a Japanese left-handed sidecar. Yeah,
Wow.
welcome to Japan, where shit is weird, but that is a little California-style sidecar with a 10-inch wheel. But I don't care about the sidecar, but I love me a Suzuki SW1. I just think it's a beautiful bike. I think it hits every fucking note for me of being just a weird, quirky. And it's not expensive.
It's sharp as hell.
Yeah, it's not expensive.
What would be the most? Like,
And the gas tank is a frunk.
How much could you spend on one of those?
Not a lot. Not a lot. In
Spend
looking
$10,000?
at what's that?
Could you spend $10,000?
No, you couldn't.
There's not one out there for sale for $10,000.
No, there's not. And I've been looking at a lot of them, and Chris has also been kind of looking at them for me too, and finding one of these for sale. So you see this listing that I just pulled up here. They're mostly in the neighborhood of about $5,000. So for a good one, you're probably going to pay between $5,000 and $7,000 for a really fucking sweet one, you know? And that's cool. That's pretty neat. I have tried finding one here, and that's not going to happen. The two or three that are here in the United States, nobody's coming off of them. So forget about buying one that's already here. That's not going to happen. But yeah, super happy about it. And that's an SW1 from Suzuki. That's my weird bike. And it's got the same motor as a GN250, so you can get parts for it forever. You know, it's not a hard bike to keep on the road. Not even weird, not even expensive, not fast. Anyone else got a bike?
Yeah, how about the CB400 Super 4?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So that's a good one, and that one is on my radar because, again, welcome to the market where they said Hornet.
Oh yeah.
How about cheaper taxes?
The first CBR was a CBR 400,
Right.
produced in the year 1981.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So the NC31, or in Japan the Super 4, a bike from the early 90s, and absolutely a cool bike because it's everything you like about a Hornet, except for its 400 cc's. They look particularly fast in yellow. I think yellow might be
Standing.
Fastest looking color out there.
it is the fastest looking color for
They're
this
known
bike.
to peel out.
Yeah. if that is one of those ones too, because they did make it for quite a few years, and I love that it has this very strong lineage. Like, it leans very much towards its history of the Super Sport. It leans very much towards the history of the CB1, and all that kind of stuff. I gotta say, like, it's a really, really good looking bike. Now, cool thing, they still make it today. Wow. So you can buy a brand new one. There's a brand new one right there. It's a cool bike, man. It's just a cool bike.
What did Nick have? The GS400 or something?
He had the Suzuki
GSR. I don't know.
This was a Bandit 400.
Bandit
Bandit
400.
400.
Thank you. Yeah,
Looks like they
GS400.
fight each
yeah.
other.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it definitely looks.
We
It
never
definitely
got
looks
to
like,
have that shootout.
We never did.
No.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, the Super 4. Yeah, the CB400 Super 4. And again, you can't find a bad review of this motorcycle. Like, the whole planet agrees this is a great fucking bike. Now, there's its father.
Yeah.
So you
you've
got
had
good bones,
several of
man.
those,
Yeah, you got good bones. You're gonna have a hard time finding me say something bad about a CB400S Super Sport or CB400F Super Sport. So really cool. Love it, love it, love it. Dan, that's a good pick, man. That is a really good book. And the problem with this bike, though, is everybody that sees it would just feel like,
A Bandit.
okay,
I mean,
so he's got a little Hornet. That's cool.
right.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Right. They would unless they see Dan standing next to it, in which case it would look like a scale model, right? Because if Dan's standing next to it, it no longer looks like a 900 or a 600. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's neat.
During my research, I found a bike that, so if you go to Adventure Ride or any of these places, this is the bike that all these dudes are clamoring for. That it has the weight, the CCs, the shock travel, everything, and yet they don't sell it here. And it's the CCM GP450.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
This fucking bike. I mean, at least you know how it is though. Everybody says they would buy one,
Right.
would they?
No, they wouldn't.
But the cool part is, I mean, it's legitimately for off road. Like the front sprocket is literally in the center of the swing arm.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep.
So the chain
The
slack.
chain
doesn't
slack
change.
is exactly the same all the time.
Yep.
It never changes.
It's lightweight. It's got the horsepower. It's got all the things that everybody always talks that they want. They would buy, and yet they don't have it here.
Right. And the thing
You
about
can get all the parts from Summit, though.
10% discount.
right now, but
Cost $5,000.
But just to let you know, CCM's a British company. It's been around for a long time. They were part of Armstrong. So if you remember our military prototype, Rotax MT500, CCM is not just a company that makes hockey gear, I guess. Don't worry about that. But here's the thing. Since 2014, there have been active rumors, stories being written about CCM being distributed in the United States. And no, I've if I would have signed on the dealer contract at many dealer expos where I went up to the booth and I saw the CCM booth and there's some British guy standing there and he's like, we're coming back to the United States, right? And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not. You're just not. You're not. You're not. Oh no, we've got a distributor. It's going to be great. We're going to take care of that. We got a company in Canada that's going to be sneaking them into America. Well, not sneaking them, but bringing them in. Right. And they did. I mean, they did sell them in Canada. You could buy the bike in Canada, but you can't buy it in America.
What stops them? Just emissions, or
Well, homologation. So this is a dirty word, right? So homologation means that before you can bring in one of something, you have got to prove to everybody who has an interest. The National Transportation Highway Safety Administration is probably your biggest hurdle.
Yes.
That it's not going to kill people, right? And then you got to bring up folders and folders and folders of your Euro compliancy, of your English compliancy, of your Canadian compliancy, and then get them a unit to test, and then take a unit that has no miles on it, put thousands of miles on it, and EPA test that one, right? It costs a lot of money to bring a bike to this country. Congratulations, you spent millions bringing the CCM 450 to the United States. How many did you sell last year? 5. Okay, great. So how long till you go out of business? We went out of business a week and a half ago. Right. I have 18 left. Would you like to buy them all? I'll make you the new U.S. distributor. And if you don't think that's real, I can assure you it's real. Yes. Many times, American businessmen who've had too much cash and not enough brains have been sold an entire distributorship of a line of motorcycles because it was a bad idea. Because the guy who thought this is a great idea ended up realizing too late that all the people that said, you bring that to America and I'll buy 3 of them. Crickets.
Yeah, right.
Just fucking crickets. You find out who your friends are, right? Or then they bitch like with this particular bike. The second you'd bring this bike in, they would say, well, how come you didn't bring in the 600 version?
right.
But I just brought in 400 of the 450s. Well, I'm waiting for the 600.
Yeah, but you asked for the 450.
Look, man, I'm going to tell you the most dangerous words in a dealership are, but I'm waiting for the ... Because wait a second, you came in here for 7 years and told me the second I got one of these in, you were going to buy it. Yeah, but I heard there's a Vespa GTS 500 coming out, and I'm going to wait for that. Oh, man, just fuck your hat, all right? So this is definitely one of those things. And yeah, it's a cool bike, and it is like you said, boy, is it everything. It's everything every American ever asked for.
Mm-hmm. They probably wouldn't buy it, but they asked for it.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And now this wasn't cheap because even back in those dollars, even back then in year of our Lord 2014, this was a $10,000 450. Yeah. So who's bringing a $10,000 dick to a 450 party? Not too many people I know. You couldn't get, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. So I love this whole like slated for the summer 2015 arrival. Not so much. Yeah, but you're right. The ADV boys suck on this one hard. Yeah,
All right, Phil, I got one for you.
All right, Chris, bring it on, baby.
1991 Honda CB750
You mean a Nighthawk, man. Don't say those words. It's a fucking Nighthawk. It's a fucking Nighthawk.
Imported in such numbers that they were clogged.
Well, first of all, we'd like to talk about our Honda Nighthawk that ran for a very miserly. This bike was only available in the United States for 13 fucking years, right? They had 13 years to sell you the exact same motorcycle. Do you know what made the 1991 Honda Nighthawk different than the 2003?
2 and a 4.
Nothing. The color. Yeah,
Price
that was
tag.
it. That was it. These things are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. A friend of ours, Dave, who does like all the cool rockabilly stuff and does the street rods and stuff with our friend Kevin Moore, he said he was looking and looking and looking and looking for the Nighthawk 650 with all the things. Because there was a Nighthawk 650 that Honda lost its ass on because they had hydraulically adjusted valves, they had shaft drive.
I think you might be talking about the 700 SC.
The Nighthawk, and I thought it was a 6. I thought it came in a 650 as well. Anyway, but you're probably right. But
Do you foresee a time when the 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds that were like 8 when their dads got one of these are going to be lusting after them and having a collection of these 91 Nighthawks laying around?
Yeah, Steve, it's going to pay off.
so yeah,
Start buying
so
them
yeah,
up.
the predecessor to the dual overhead cam
You have a big
750 was in
Need
fact the Nighthawk 650, right? Obviously, again, it had received the curse of the square headlight. That which has ever had a square headlight.
Curse. I mean, it's perfect. Why would you want a round circle out there? I want a rectangular view of the world.
And by the way, the speedometers were also square.
They probably only went to 85 miles an hour, too.
The speedometers were also square.
The bike was a fan of Huey Lewis.
Fuck, man. Yeah, it's hip to be square, I guess. But it was from that era. The good news with these motorcycles
When
is
it first came out, it was kind of like, oh, that's a really cool bike. There was a guy who had one, a friend of, my older friend of my buddy, and it was like, he'd go ripping out, and it sounded kind of good. He may have, I don't know if he put a 4-1 or something on it, but it was good to have. I mean, for its day.
The weird science fucking gauge cluster. You
This-
spin it fast
okay,
enough and a girl with
look,
boobs pops out
look.
of the tailpipe.
it's a square gauge cluster with graph paper printed on it,
Right.
but round gauges.
Right.
Dude.
Dude.
And it had a digital gear position indicator as well. But this motorcycle, and I've had a bunch of these, I've fixed a bunch of these, I've sold a bunch of these. If you ever want to know, if you're ever thinking about buying one, just buy a box of igniters because they're always bad. These things had a penchant for going through.
If a Cylon running a motorcycle, it would be a Nighthawk.
It was such a thing because you were like, okay, well, we want to do styling cue. Well, what are you going to do? Make things square. Well, what should we make square? Everything except the wheels. And the igniters, that's these little gray boxes. Okay. So these little gray boxes, and the bike has 2 of them. Okay. These little gray boxes
Shit, $130.
is $130 each.
Damn.
And you need 2 of them. And I guarantee they're broken. I guarantee.
Before you put them in?
Well, so here's the thing. Our friends over at Rick's Motorsports, right? Rick's Motorsports, they're good guys. We trust them. They build all kinds of cool shit. Prior to Rick's Motorsports making these boxes, these igniter boxes, we had plenty of people that were just like, so I've rebuilt the carburetors 11 times. Yep. I've replaced every wire in the bike. Yep. It's your igniters. I've replaced the fuel tap. Dude, it's your igniters. I've cleaned the gas tank. Dude, it's your igniters. I've replaced the chain. It's your fucking igniters. I got a new ignition. It's your fucking igniters. So what are you trying to say? I'm saying you need fucking igniters. Well, so how much are they? Well, before Rick's had gotten into the game, the only way to get these bikes running again was to buy a used igniter. But since they were all broken to begin with, you'd buy these ones. Well, they left the factory broken.
Yeah.
A lifespan on an igniter in the original CB650s, 750s, 900s, that era, that same mid-80s era, the lifespan on these fucking igniters was about 3,000 miles, for sure. Less if you let your battery die over the winter and you jump-started your bike with your car battery, then that murdered the igniters instantly. You're done. So we would buy these ones on eBay, guaranteed good. That's a lie. They're never guaranteed good because they know that of the 26 this guy sold, he only had to return money on 4 of them because everyone else got mad at him and threw him across the garage. So until Rick's Motorsport came up with a replacement for $129 per, we were fucked. There was nothing we could do. And dudes were throwing away and giving away these inline 4-cylinders for lack of an igniter. Like, how fucking bad is that? And then their CDI boxes were equally fucking tragic. And so these ignition boxes that you see there, those things were equally fucking susceptible.
I paid $400 for a CDI box for a CX500, brand new from a dealership.
Yep. Yeah.
It was my bike was really nice and everything, and thankfully, somebody had ran into my garage.
Oh.
Through the garage door, pushed my wife's Volkswagen Jetta into my CX500 and pushed it through the back wall of the garage.
Wow.
Being a CX500, it came out completely unscathed.
Of course it did.
Except there were already scratches on it, so I reported those, and I got $500 worth of the claim was my CX500.
Nice.
I'm going to get my CX500
Total the
now
Volkswagen.
with that $500. I bought the CDI I needed.
These integrated circuit, these ignition systems for these bikes in this era, these are legendary. We all know about the TID14s and TID15s.
It wouldn't be so bad if they just stopped working and nothing happened.
Right.
But what's funny is, like, I've had them where you go to check for start, and you turn it over, and all of a sudden it goes zzz,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
zzz, zzz,
Yeah.
zzz.
Or you turn the key on and it's just welding. It's for real. You've done it. I've done it. We turn the key on and literally your spark plug is the world's smallest welder.
Or it'll start, or it'll spark, but just in this real weird, like, you'll be, like, I had one and it would run on the left cylinder, and I thought it was like,
you get a real silverback mechanic, like you get a proper silverback mechanic, and you've got a Nighthawk, a 4-cylinder Nighthawk or whatever. You take it to the guy, and the bike's running like shit. You're like, oh, it just needs carb cleaner, only runs with the chokes on. So a silverback will immediately grab the igniters, unplug them, and plug them in backwards. So he'll plug them in opposite. And if it still runs, but it runs on the other two, Bob's your uncle. You just need one igniter or two. Don't ever buy just one. Rick's will tell you. But then the trick was these ignition systems, these ignition systems were tragic, the TID14s. They're awful. But the solution, God bless them, they came up with a really, really good solution, and it's a really good ignition system, except for it's going to cost you around $400, and most of these bikes aren't worth $400. So to have a replacement ignition that's really going to work, you're going to come out of pocket. In this particular case, $500 or $600. Sometimes the bike isn't worth $500 or $600, and that's true. But Chris called me today with what year was yours?
91.
91, year of our Lord, 1991. I think those were faster that year, if I'm not mistaken. The 91s were much faster that year. We had one here at the shop before Mid-Ohio, maybe a year ago now, that we'd picked up with 2,900 original miles on it, and not a scratch on it.
That's 100 before they go out. That's 100 before they get.
Okay, no, this bike was literally would only run on the choke, period, no matter what. So I'm like, yep, clean the carbs, Somebody put ethanol gas in it and left it more than 6 days. And so the bike was handsome. It was black. It was shiny. There wasn't a scratch or a dent or a ding on it. So we're like, I can't get hurt on this. I think we gave like $800 on the trade, whatever. Took the thing in a non-running condition, took it back to my mechanics, and we're like, this is going to be a carb clean, and we're going to be off to the races. A complete set of carburetor rebuild kits later, a fuel tap later, rust in the bottom of the gas tank by the fuel tap, ugh, my $800 bike ended up costing me almost $2,000 to get it out of my fucking shop. And then we discovered that Kelly Blue Book on the thing was right around $2,000 in perfect condition. We did eventually get away clean, but it wasn't the fast sale that we'd hoped for. So, Chris, when you went, or did you look at it or just find it today?
Actually, a friend of mine has it.
Okay,
and
yeah.
He mistakenly bought it for $3,200 a couple 18 months ago.
Oh my shitting God.
And he has medical bills, so he's trying to sell it. And so a guy came over today to buy it.
Yeah.
And they could only keep it running on the choke.
Of course.
And the guy said, okay, fuck it, I'm not buying this thing.
And over the course of the phone call, what did I tell you? I said, it's got about 10,000 miles on it.
14,000.
Yeah, that's about 4,000 high of the valve adjustment it needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch. Oh,
so the guy's asking if I can work on it for him.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I can make it better.
Yeah.
Oh, don't work on that
What
bike.
you do is take the carburetors out, you put them in a bucket of gasoline, let them soak for a couple of days, and then put them back on. It'll run great.
I just for the sake of fun, I just pulled up NADA, which is not going to be accurate. But if that bike's in good condition, it's worth $935 US. Good condition means it runs on all 4 cylinders. You can ride it down the street.
With the choke on?
No, that bike is $1,200 away from good condition. So it's $1,200 away from being a $935 bike. Yeah, and look, you can put 1 million miles on them. If you never let them sit and you just run them all the time, you can run them forever. There's no reason you can't run this bike forever.
That's the sad thing about the V45, the Magnus.
Oh my God!
Right. They were a great bike.
Hell yeah!
They were groundbreaking.
Yep.
Fantastic performance.
Yep.
But don't let them sit. Don't let those carbs get bad.
Yeah, and so Shido Honda at a seminar I went to a long time ago, like in '91 maybe. I went to a training seminar for, I was a Honda mechanic back then, and I went to a U.S. training seminar where the man himself was up giving a presentation, and he says, in broken English, he said, I can engineer for abuse. I can engineer for speed. I can engineer for reliability. I cannot engineer for neglect. And why he was saying that was because this was 1991 or 92. And American Honda dealers were putting in a shit ton of warranty claims on bikes that had been sitting from October to March.
Yeah.
And Honda at the time had a 1 year, 10,000 or whatever mile warranty. And they did not want us putting in warranty claims for 4 dirty carburetors. Yet we were putting in warranty claims for 4 dirty carburetors because you have a customer that just spent $7,000 or $8,000 on their motorcycle 5 months ago, put 400 miles on it, and now the motherfucker don't run. So as a shop mechanic, I would write a warranty claim for it because I cannot get the guy who just spent $7,000 or $8,000 on this bike to pony up $400 for me to pull the rack of carbs and clean them and put them all back on again. Just couldn't do it. They wouldn't pay for it. So we would submit the warranty claims, and Honda would, of course, deny them all, and people would get super angry. And yeah, that was the beginning of the end for carburetors. That was that was when the whole planet kind of agreed at the same time. Carburetors are a bad idea, and this is it. Now the CB750 Nighthawk, things I can tell you about it for sure. It was a price, but the bike was a price point bike. It got people in the dealership. It was a shit ton cheaper than a Sportster 883, and you could buy it, and it was still a inline 4-cylinder Honda, and it had the word CB750 in the name, which meant that it was America's, the world's first sport bike,
A brand new one, 120. The Speedo goes up to 140. It would do.
Right.
They were pretty fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. These bikes, there was nothing wrong with them other than the fact that it was just really, really bad timing. And it really was bad timing. I think that it was a bike that was outdated. It was $39.95 brand new, $4,000 brand new. It was competing with the Sportster, and it was losing. And Sportsters were selling, and this wasn't. They had a lot of these left over. There were a lot of dealers that were giving them away. There were a lot of dealers that had bikes on the floor that were, a couple of 3 years old. Yeah. Now, for a dual overhead cam 750, I'm looking at these numbers, 75 horsepower, 47 foot-pounds of torque. It's all right. You know, it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think really what happened was people were just tired of looking at it. Well, because it'd been around since 1969. Yeah. This motorcycle had existed since 1969. And if ever there's a case for people just being tired of it, you got a 23-year-old design there. You got a 24-year-old platform. The inline 4 Honda CB750 was just kind of...
I'm not willing to accept that. When they went from single overhead cam to dual overhead cam.
We know.
That then broke the chain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Usually, John, it actually did break the chain. At least the time timing cam tensioner failed.
The cam tensioner.
The tensioner failed.
I had to give a guy a lesson on tightening and servicing a cam chain tensioner yesterday. It was interesting. Newbie to the world of.
Welcome to the world of timing cam chain tensioners.
No, the guy doesn't have a bike before that particular bike, and you have a question. Now all of a sudden he doesn't know anything about cam chain tensioners. Look, I'll fucking stab you.
Nobody mentioned any names here.
Anybody else have a bike they want to have, but they're not allowed to?
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Yep.
Just in case.
Anyone else got forbidden fruits?
Well, we were talking about, when I was doing the Lake Erie Loop, what everybody wanted was a Canadian CBR 125.
Absolutely.
Oh, they have CBR 125s up in Canada.
Yes, they do.
That'd be perfect for running in B class in the Lake Erie Loop.
Yeah, because that is a cheater bike for a 125cc race.
And then somebody showed up with an Aprilia RS 125.
Exactly, and then just walked all over that Honda.
Went the weekend before, pre-rode the Lake Erie Loop.
Yeah.
Just so he could win with money, and then had a support crew. I did it in 9 hours and 30 seconds.
Right.
On an RS 125 that's capable. It's basically Aprilia it had a YZ 125 motor.
Right. Exactly.
So it was a 2-stroke 125 that would do 100 mile an hour.
Right. Exactly.
I bought the cheater bike. No, I'm not going to cheat. I'm just going to
Right. You're going to overcompete, and that's exactly right. The Aprilia RS 125 is bringing a gun to a knife fight, and the Lake Erie Loop is literally 600 and some odd miles. Yeah. And the spirit of the thing is that it's a race because bikes under 200 cc's could go as fast as they fucking want to go and barely break the law in either country, right? So you can call it a race because there ain't nobody going 100 miles an hour.
And everybody's a cheap-ass mofo. It's
right.
I just went out and bought this $500 whatever. And
his fucking exhaust system came off of Briggs & Stratton. Two Briggs & Strattons. Right.
I thought I had good logic in that.
Well, there you go. But the idea was you could buy certain of these bikes in Canada. You could not buy them in the United States. And when you talk about the RS 125, when you talk about the CBR 125, these are bikes. Do you know the only reason these bikes exist? And I'm going to hate to be a
learner class.
Yeah. The big old fucking L for loser on the front of your motorcycle, right? So, So it's called the L reg or L registration. Okay. The L reg. And the L reg is basically when you're a new rider in Europe. And they have a rule that says for the first 2 years, you're not allowed to have anything bigger than a 125. Imagine that. Somebody my size, 52 years old, decides I want to start riding motorcycles. And they go, yep, and for the first 2 years, 125.
Now, do they have stats to back it up showing that there's less destruction and mayhem compared to this handing a kid an R1?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
A lot.
I'm saying it probably makes sense.
It makes great sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ever seen
not
what
American
you ever seen what an 18-year-old does with a Hayabusa?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You ever seen what a Harley what an 18-year-old does with a wide glide or right? Or even a Sportster 883. Mm-hmm. In Europe, you can't have that bike.
An 18-year-old only knows this.
Exactly, right. And an 18-year-old also does not understand consequences of his actions. Does not understand fatality, mortality, anything else. The 18-year-old just wants to be a jag-off. So the idea with the law was really written quite well that you'd be on this neutered 125. But European companies who like to race GP decided, okay, well, we can build a bike that is going to have a lifespan of 73 seconds. But for that 73 seconds, it's going to have, 40 odd horsepower. And that's that class. That's what those bikes are all about. Technically, they're 125s. and you can ride them with that big old fucking L of shame on the back of your bike, right? That says, I'm a loser. Well, what it says is, my bike's a 125. But when that 125 gets around you at 85 miles an hour,
Right.
at 93 million RPM, because that's kind of what they do. Well, because of this 125 class, Honda, with the CBR, but there's a GSXR 125 too. Yeah. And so there are so many 125s, and every manufacturer does one. And even here in the shop, we have all these Vespa 150s, shit tons of Vespa 150s, Liberty 150s, except in the UK where they magically all become 124s. Because that's now legal for your first time license. So in our country, we have a Benelli TNT 135.
Right, but it's a 125.
But it's a 125 in Europe. Same bike, slightly different board and stroke, right? It's moderately different. But when we kind of look to these Japanese or European domestic market bikes, and you're like, damn, that CBR 125R is kind of sexy. And you get on it, and you're like, it looks like a sport bike. It feels like a sport bike. And then you ride it, and you're like, not a sport bike. And if you're willing to stroke them up to 16,000 RPM, if you're willing to run them at that point and have that be your shift point, then they're kind of fun. Kind of fun. Not fun. Kind of fun. But no replacement for displacement. So,
The bikes that I think are really interesting come from like Taiwan and Indonesia. And if you do like Indonesia drag bikes or whatever.
Oh, my God.
They're these little, like, they started life as a two-stroke 125, barely a motorcycle. And these kids have just hopped them up on
the wheels are like this fucking
big,
thick
like
and shit.
10-speed wheels on them with a huge expansion chamber on a big bore kit. Like, and they're just like,
and they race for like 330 feet. It's not even an eighth mile. It's like a 16th of a mile. Or something.
Right.
The driveway.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
that is true.
They're fast.
A driveway, yeah.
They're like, oh, those are cool.
But also, like, the riders aren't probably over 75 pounds when you see the kids. They're all
Soaking wet.
Yeah,
That's true, too. Yeah.
All right, let's see one.
Oh, I was going to say...
With rice in their pockets.
One of the funny things is when you get into these small these little bikes and stuff like that. Everybody, Yamaha made an SR 125. Like, these are all horrible motorcycles that were just made so people could just go get, have their license for 2 years so they could graduate on to the next step up.
In places like India and stuff, like an SP 125 or like the GX 125 Honda, it's like they ride the shit out of those. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a really funny thing when you look at, motorcycles in other cultures that exist just because of a license regulation. It's funny. I mean, they're cheater bikes. We did the same thing in our country with 698 cc's. So, due to the Reagan era, they had a rule that said if that motorcycle's over 700 cc's, it's going to be staring down the barrel of 100% tariff. And every Japanese manufacturer went, hold my beer. Yeah. Oh, wait. You're going to make me have it less than 700 cc's. You should see what I can do with 699 cc's. Stand back. You're going to see 99 horsepower coming out of 698 cc's.
I believe they said, hold my sake.
Exactly. Hold my sake.
You're talking about Honda that built 5-cylinder 125cc bikes in the 60s.
Right.
That revved to 22,000 RPM.
Yeah. Like when you look at the technology that had to happen, they say all the time that war brings on technological advances. Absolutely. Well, you can't say to a Japanese company or all the Japanese companies, you're selling too many bikes in America. We want Harley to sell more bikes. So we're going to punish you for making bikes over 700 cc's. And all the Japanese companies got together and went, oh, yeah? Okay. Because this is a Nighthawk that I kind of like. The 1984 Nighthawk S, they came in red. They came in black with red splotches, and they came with black with blue splotches. Aside from being a very weird wheel size, I mean, these things the wheel size was confounding if you liked buying tires. But the motorcycle itself was a pretty goddamn good motorcycle. I mean, it was a straight up legit bike. But, it had an 11,000 RPM rev limiter. It spun out to 11,000 RPM. It came from the factory with a very fuck you-ish 150 mile an hour speedometer in the days of an 85 mile an hour speedometer.
Well, the roads were 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, it really was. Like, they were just like, okay. The problem was it had a 16-inch front wheel. And buying 16-inch rubber, not great. Not easy. But, you could fix that. You could get rid of that. But these bikes, woo, giddy up.
Christ.
Wow. There you go.
Snuck right by.
One of my favorite things about this bike, though, of all the trickery and the fake shit that ever happened, if you ever get a chance to see a Nighthawk S, I mean a proper, 698cc or whatever, Nighthawk CB700 SC as it was formerly known,
They come up.
look at the carburetors because they put cosmetic velocity stacks on it. So every hipster in the world is putting velocity stacks on a CV carb that isn't meant to have velocity stacks. Honda did it first. Honda did it better. If you're not Honda, fuck you. Because if you look at that thing, you're like, that sumbitch got a velocity stack on it. No, it's just a little piece of trim that goes between the airbox and the carburetor because it is a CV carb, a very emissions.
Fuck up when you have to tear the carb.
It is one more thing in your way when you got to pull those fucking carbs off. But yeah, they were kind of handsome.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I do too. And that's one of those bikes that, I know that technologically it was a shit show, but it was a shit show with shaft drive. It was a shit show with, a very, very low maintenance engine. It was
attainable. If you can find a decent one, you can get them for about 25, $3 grand. I mean, no problem.
Absolutely. Yep. And it is one of those things where you're like, okay, well, and what's funny is we were talking to Chris about that Nighthawk, that 750 Nighthawk. Oh, I would gladly trade you 11 of those 1991 Nighthawk 750s for one of these because this is kind of a cool thing,
Can't get tires.
There's a blue one, too.
They like I said, they came in two colors. They came in your choice of red or blue, and the red one was faster, but the blue one had more sex. For some reason, I don't know why.
If they had a yellow one, that would have been the fastest.
It would have been the fastest if they had the yellow one, but it's Honda, so they have problems with that. Yeah, but that was it. And by the way, this motorcycle too had hydraulic valve lifters, so your valve adjustment interval is never. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea. Yep. So, wait, you mean this motorcycle had 6 speeds in the transmission, it had shaft drive, and it had hydraulically adjusted valve lifters? Wow. Is that not cool enough for you? Well, great. It's also got a gear position indicator in case you suck, right? Mm. That's kind of a cool motorcycle. And it was kind of a cool motorcycle. I give it credit.
Never heard of one losing second gear either.
Never heard of one losing second gear, by the way. No shit. Yeah, you're right. So kind of a cool bike.
I've heard of people putting different front ends so you can get tires.
Yeah, well, that's right. The front tire is 16-inch. The 16-inch front tire is made of unobtainium. The brakes were a 4-pot caliper. In the day, they were pretty good with the slotted rotors. They were fair. But yeah, 1984. That 1984 is a damn sight more interesting than the 1991. Yep. Yeah.
So you know what else I learned during this whole little search?
What'd you learn in this search?
You know that amazingly awful China motorcycle that you saw everywhere a couple of years ago, the Magician.
Oh,
and you were like, who was the first one to engineer this horrible fucking thing?
The Magician.
Yeah, see that green thing over there? That's the Magician. They were like $1,200 spanking new.
Oh man, I missed this.
Okay,
I must have been asleep or something.
Right. So I was like, who could have designed that? Well, the answer is Yamaha. Yamaha had a thing called the Trickster.
The Trickster, yeah.
I had no fucking idea.
That's a real thing.
So the Magician was just a copy of Yamaha's Trickster.
And
so
by the
Yamaha
way,
is responsible for inventing this.
And by the way, way to not go far on the name.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Way to not go far on the name. So yeah, that's the Trickster. I know what the Trickster is. That was kind of a thing.
It's hideous.
And it's not a trials bike. Like everyone was like, oh, it's the Yamaha trials bike.
No.
Okay. Honda had the Reflex, which was arguably the world's worst trials bike, but it was street legal. It had turn signals, right? It was a street legal motorcycle, the Reflex. Yeah. He had a brand, he had a brand when it was called the Reflex.
TLR.
The Reflex. TL250.
TLR 200.
I thought they were 250s. Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, what was your Reflex? Your TLR? Was it
Man,
Yeah,
these guys
200,
don't
right?
remember that
Yeah.
microphones are involved in
I
the
know.
podcast.
Yeah. So
Shows up on the video.
it does. Yeah, that's it. TLR, right? That's where I was screwing up was the R. Yeah, TLR 200 reflex. When these were brand new in year of our Lord 1986, I was an extremely qualified motorcycle enthusiast. I was underfunded,
Yeah.
but I was the best in my neighborhood at knowing everything. Every issue of Cycle World magazine and Rider magazine and everything else wore it the fuck out. Yeah. Wouldn't even...
You just stuck together.
I didn't even know Playboy existed. Hustler was out of my... But when this bike was launched, and I remember the full-page glossy ads talking about this street legal, and nobody said the word trials bike. Trials bike wasn't even like... They realized calling it a trials bike was really shooting over the heads of thus kids that were raised on lead paint and lead car fumes. Because it's not good for your brain, right?
Trials is something they did over there in Europe.
Well, and I just thought they couldn't spell trail. I just thought it was a trail bike and somebody fucked up in the translation. But when those things came out and they were in the Cycle World magazine and they were doing anything they could to sell them, they weren't selling well. And how you know the bike was a shitty seller was HOFFERT bought one. And is the best example ever. If you're not sure whether or not your motorcycle, right? If you're not sure that your motorcycle is a flop, if HOFFERT bought one, you know your marketing department failed. That was it. But it was $1,498.
Steve, you're just dreaming.
And that was newspaper route money. Yeah. And I went down to Rick Case, or we used to call Dick Face.
Dick Face
Honda. And I went down there and I looked at this thing from every possible angle. And I had easily $1,500 in my pocket because I had like 5
Someone
jobs.
else's pants on. Oh, sorry.
Coming in with a hit. So I had the money to buy this, and this was the only new motorcycle I could buy. And keep in mind,
$895 for mine.
you paid $895. So I'm down there and I'm looking at this fucking bike because I didn't work at I used to work at H&H Honda. These hadn't been launched yet. So I left H&H Honda and I was out doing my thing. So I couldn't go and show my face at H&H Honda because I quit working there. So I was a problem with pride. I couldn't go back in the place because I was a teenager. So I went into Dick Face and I looked at this thing and I was like, and every advertisement, every guy in the sales floor, everybody, there must have been a $500 bounty on this fucking bike to be like, look, if you sell that bike, you're getting a blowy from Priscilla back there. Like, there's got to be, there's got to be some. No,
Exactly.
and I had never been swooped in upon by so many fucking salesmen that were like, oh, well, you seem to be a strapping young 16-year-old boy with money in your pocket.
It was the press paper bag.
It was, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, it was the Cleveland Press. No, because when I went in there, I had my press bag over my left shoulder and my News Herald bag over my right shoulder. So they knew I had money.
That's it.
I was missing school in the morning and missing school in the afternoon, too, because press was a morning paper. Right. And when I went in there, you would have thought that I was... What's that?
Correct, Steve.
The press was an afternoon paper.
The press was Plain Dealer was the morning paper.
Yeah, the PD
right.
was
the PD was the morning paper. The press was the afternoon paper.
And a press route.
Right, because I did too. Yeah, and then
And a news journal route.
His dick's bigger.
Well, no, the worst one was Sun.
That's what it was.
The Sun.
The Euclid News Journals.
The Sun was a scam. You deliver
Could you guys talk about something from
You would
this
deliver
century?
the Sun. You deliver the Sun newspaper to people that didn't have a subscription. Right?
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. It was one night a week. It was the worst paper you could get. And you would deliver it to people that didn't have a subscription.
And then go to their house and collect.
then
and then collect.
And then at 8:30, I delivered ice.
But I will tell you that the Reflex, the Honda Reflex, they sold it. Now, you lived by Rick Case Honda. You lived right down the street from it when you grew up.
Yeah, no, when I lived on 271st, they were on 200th.
Yeah, that's a stretch. 71 fucking blocks.
It's not that far. My paper route was that long.
I bet you could get there on a broken skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so you bought yours at Dick Face, right?
No, I bought it at H&H.
Oh, you bought it at my old shop. That's fucking hilarious.
But it was like 2 years out of date. It was
Okay.
2 years out of date because I would go in there and look at it, and I'm like, man, that bike's really. I like that.
That bike had 17 inches of dust on it by the time you bought it.
Well, it did. It was. It was so.
It was like
so
a 19.
out of date.
That would have been like 1990.
And they lowered the price to $895. And I'm like, how could you pass that bike up for $895? It's a brand new bike.
Yeah, because people have been passing it up for $14.95 and $13.95 and $12.95 and $11.95.
So I bought it.
I know the owner of that shop. He didn't reduce that price quickly.
I think I've owned 2 of those.
You've owned 2 of them.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. What's the maximum range on that gas tank?
Not very far.
He made it home one time.
That was the bike I got hit by a snowplow on
Not
that bike.
from the
I mean,
brewery
seriously,
up there.
Really?
I got hit by a snowplow from the
weather
city
bike.
of Euclid on that bike. I happened to be imbibing a little bit after work because I rode it all winter. I rode that bike all winter long, and I was leaving this bar on 222nd, and I was a little bit close to the double yellow line.
Yeah.
And the snowplow pulled out and swung wide to get like from a side street.
Did you have
and it hit
shorts
my
on?
shoulder.
It was August.
Did you have shorts on?
No, I was not wearing shorts at that point in time. But so I went off into the curb on the other side of the street, and I didn't want to get obviously I didn't want to get pulled over by the cops.
Yeah.
So I pushed it like 10 blocks up the street because my grandma lived right there. And
Okay,
I put
yeah.
it in her garage, and I called somebody to give me a ride home.
You walked it off.
But anyways, so all that came from the magician.
Came from the magician.
Yeah.
Right. Which was basically
Actually a Honda.
the Trickster.
I mean, a Yamaha. Trickster, yeah.
Which was also the idea of marketing a trials bike or something like a trials bike to the general public.
What's the plow truck driver thinking at that point? Did I just kill somebody?
What the hell's this idiot doing out in December?
He was
He's
drunk
thinking
too.
the same thing. I'm like, I'm drunk. I don't want to get pulled over by the cops. I'm just going to keep going.
I just killed a kid.
I worked for the city, so I mean I knew half those guys anyway.
Guy's like, I wish I had a backhoe. I could take care of this right away.
Take care of this now.
Did you have to go apologize to the plow truck for running into him while you were drunk?
And straighten out the dent.
Oh my
it was
God.
a little different
You
world
scratched my
then.
anchor.
Yeah. Back then, you were allowed to go drink at lunchtime.
Yeah.
No, you seriously, you'd go out to the bar and eat lunch at lunch. And
From
you
high
were
school?
allowed-
Okay, cool. Good
No, I
for
wasn't
you.
in high school.
Oh, not from high school.
No, I was in college. But I mean, you were allowed to go and you had 2 beers, so you could drink when you were 18 years old.
We could smoke in the senior lounge
Oh yeah, you
in
could
high
smoke-
school.
Yeah,
we could
there was
smoke
a
in the
smoking-
senior lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seniors were allowed to smoke. Go figure. It's fucking weird. So anyway, that's hilarious. Talking about just stupid deep dives and strange motorcycles. We this week, because Sleepy's not around anymore, we got about 1,000 motorcycles showed up. The place is swimming in steel crates, and the Jawas are thrilled because the local Jawas are like, they're living high on the
Christmas.
hog because we're putting metal out, and people are like, so what are you doing with that metal? Well, I hope you're taking it. Well, can I take it? Yeah, it's 13 cents a pound, motherfucker. Jump on that shit. I've never seen steel that high. Get it. And so the local Jawas are thrilled. We're trying to train them, though, how to take the wood, like what to do with the wood, like all the things you can do with lumber. Low-grade crate lumber, nonetheless. But so we've had some weird bikes show up, and the one thing has been an electric invasion. We're going to be doing a test at some point. Well, we have so many electric scooters here right now. It's crazy. But the one that I've been riding is there's this orange scooter over here.
Oh, yeah.
That's called a NIU, N-I-U, and it's the NIU Evo.
Is that the 250?
Yeah, it's the 250. Yeah, it's the 250cc NIU Evo. No, it's not. It's electric, but here's
36 watt-hour batteries.
here's the thing about that fucking bike. 69 miles per hour indicated on an electric scooter. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how many miles per hour of actual miles per hour that is because I only did the one test. Like we're supposed to, you break it in real easy.
Sure.
You know.
Oh my God, you stink.
You crop dusted him, didn't you?
Oh my God, that's horrible.
You're going to palm it and toss. Oh, what a monster.
Steve's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
That's awful.
That is really bad.
I'm getting hints of it over here. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. It's pretty bad.
Look what it came out of.
You can take the sticker off of those, Chris, if you need to. Wow.
He's bringing them back after.
No, but it's coming around here. You don't understand. He's putting it out there, but the fans kicking it.
I'm hoping the ventilation's a lot better over on that side.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm gonna get some carb cleaner and brake parts cleaner.
Smelling salts.
Jesus Christ!
Well, he will not fall asleep at the next podcast.
Meckle Fresh, you got to start chewing your food. All right, that's all there is to it. You got to start chewing your food. Wow.
It is making it over here.
Wait. And this dude spends fucking 20 hours a day
He works in a shit plant, and you ran him out. His job description is turd herder. Like, he can tell you based on the smell if the town has COVID. What the fuck, John? Jesus Christ.
So let us know what you ate so we can avoid it.
Let us know.
Did you go to
Dairy Twist today?
Dairy Twist. Yeah, sure. Great.
Got those time release flavor capsules.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'd like to have a lot of cheese curds with some sour cream, and we're going to have 17 hard-boiled eggs.
Double cheeseburger.
And some
cheese
beets.
balls and large.
See, having allergies aren't that bad. Ours is it, Dan?
I'm going to tell you something. First of all, nearly killed him. But
Damn,
but
Rectum,
Jesus.
Dan near killed him.
You know what though? Now we know what cancer smells like. Okay. God damn. As the old Indian fellow once said, that is not the smell of healthy eating.
I felt great. I felt energized after that meal.
Oh my.
And you mean
felt
dot,
like I
not
conquered
feather.
the world.
Hey. Again, I still need to get a ruling on that. I
Just
still
had
need to get a ruling.
2,000
Holy shit, the
calories.
paint's peeling off that bike.
Oh, no.
If we have any culturally sensitive podcast listeners, or let's put it this way, well-educated podcast listeners, I want to know, and this is, I got to say, just a moment of seriousness, if you can get past the smell.
You got it licked.
Okay. If I were to say something like, you know,
He's an Indian guy.
he's an Indian guy,
Dot, not feather.
and I say dot, not feather, are we cool? I need somebody to tell me if we're cool.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, well, you're not the person. You're whiter than I am. Yes,
right.
you are actually whiter than I am.
Which is pretty scary.
Which is fucking scary, right? Exactly.
Bob's the darkest person here. Let's ask him.
Our one stretch of diversity is not here right now.
Right.
Because he thinks it's totally okay. But he's not a good barometer for this.
No,
Oscar is not a good barometer.
It's just
I think everything's
clarifying.
kind of okay with Oscar. He's just a cool guy.
Oscar's fantastic. We're not saying
gonna
there's
get
anything
hung up
wrong
on
with Oscar, but I can't let Oscar be
You're right.
the compass.
You're not-
Oscar's
you're
whiter
not-
than me.
You're not saying Curry
in
or
his
drunk.
trousers. Wait. No.
You're not saying Curry or drunk.
I'm not saying. Look, I'm
You know,
just
that
saying.
would be
Peyote.
bad. You know,
Peyote,
yeah,
not
right.
drunk.
I didn't go there.
Well,
that
no,
was
I didn't
sleepy.
either. No,
All right.
no.
So hey, but
I'm
yeah.
saying you didn't say that.
again.
Where's your new job now?
So just letting folks know, I'm curious. I would love your opinions. Please, ClevelandMoto@gmail.com is where you should go to answer that question. Dot, not feather. Are we cool? Okay,
And
that's it.
It comes from a place of love, though, right? I mean,
It
there's
doesn't
nothing-
matter.
Clarity.
Again,
It all started from a fart.
most
Yeah,
things
but
do.
he was in an Indian restaurant, but we're not sure which type.
Right.
Was it venison or was it
Was
curry?
it pemmican or was it curry? Anyway, dot,
Was
not
it
feather.
pelican?
Dot, not feather. Are we cool?
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
That's
We're
a
done.
great question.
We're done. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Hey,
That's
speaking
all
of
we're doing.
questions, I'd
All
like
right.
to ask the think take a thing that maybe could help another person out there and listener. So, say there was a guy restoring a useless bike that wasn't really worth anything,
All right.
and this bike is a 6-volt system,
Right.
and the headlight is fucking unobtainium, and it's
Right.
the kind of headlight that is a sealed beam headlight.
Yeah. Right.
Can you like drill the back of that out and put a fucking 6-volt H4 into it or
Yes.
something?
Absolutely.
You can.
Okay.
Right. And there is, and I've.
They actually
I have no idea, but I
headlights
figured.
that hold a 6-volt bulb.
Exactly.
Like Dr. ATV sells them
Yep,
for
that's right.
CT90s, various sizes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has like a little clip in the back, so you
Yep.
just put a light.
Okay,
bulb in it.
because I started researching this, and like a used,
Should fit
we
inside
think
the
it
light.
works headlight on eBay is $195 fucking
I know.
dollars.
Yeah. So Dr. ATV is a really good resource for that.
I have some 6-volt headlight bulbs too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the other thing that a lot of people might not be aware of when you're looking at stuff, don't forget farm and fleet.
Oh,
he
because
says.
a lot of tractors are 6
Tractors were 6-volt, and a lot of them came with these little 4-inch work lights and stuff. And many of our older vintager motorcycles use that exact same size light, that exact same lamp. So if you want to maintain an incandescent bulb because you're doing like a voltage regulator load, or it's a balanced system and you need to have a certain amount of watts going
That was
away.
going to be my next question. So for the headlight or something like that, I was doing some Googling,
Yep.
and they have the 6-volt to 12-volt operator.
Ooh, the operator.
So I mean, like, can you
It's
get
called a step-up transformer.
yeah that thing? So can you? Is like, are there any that actually work halfway decent when you're talking about a small, doesn't have a huge stator or any kind of a stator kind
Correct.
of thing?
Yeah.
bike?
Right. And again, I'm gonna suggest, because remember that anytime you double the voltage, you're halving the watts.
Right.
Okay. So that's Ohm's law. You can't get in the way of
Could
that.
you run an LED then? Because an LED would.
That's
have
what I
less-
would tell you. So since LEDs don't seem to be bothered very much between 6 volts or 12 volts, because most LEDs operate in a very wide range of voltages.
So it wouldn't be super bright, but it would get by for driving around.
Oh,
Mid-Ohio.
no. You take something that used to run on a 6-volt incandescent bulb and replace it with a LED bulb, and it's going to be brighter than God himself.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done a few vintage bikes that I have that are 6-volt systems that, the voltage regulator or the magnets in the flywheel and stator had shit the bed 20 years ago. Yeah. So they're barely putting out enough to sizzle your fingers when you hold the wires. All of a sudden you take the OEM incandescent bulb out, replace it with an LED, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, because that's $30 on eBay
Yeah.
all day long.
Oh, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
a 5 3/4 inch headlight. So,
A 5 3
Talking about the
Carter.
voltage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The voltage regulators.
Yeah.
That's why I buy those little voltage regulators.
Could just drive it in the
The
daytime.
voltage goes up. The voltage will jump on. Even on a C70, the voltage will go up to like 13 volts on a 6-volt system if you change out the headlight.
That's true. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. And I have a whole drawer of 6-volt stuff from like Dre TV.
will that fuck up your incandescent turn signals and taillight then if you run the LED headlight because it'll be pumping more juice to the
If
rest?
anything, it would
Yeah.
make them brighter.
We'll make them
faster.
brighter,
Right.
Probably burn out faster, no?
And
Yep.
it's not a bad idea for $1.95 to do a full wave bridge. So by installing, these are about $3 a piece. Back in the old days when we had Radio Smack, we could go down there and we could pick up a handful of these things and just kind of keep them with you.
On 305? There used
Yeah.
to be a place on 305
Yeah, but-
that sold like.
Especially if you kept the guy working at
Electronic
the counter
surplus.
busy.
Oh, but these things, you didn't even need to get weird and funky with it because it was just a device that existed in the world. And what it is, it's a rectifier. That's the whole idea
rectum
behind
fryer.
it. It's a rectum fryer.
There was a band in Akron called Full Wave Rectifier. Back
About 10 minutes ago, there was a rectum fryer.
Oh my God. That was worse than any
That was
smell
dot,
I ever
not
smelled
that
at
was
the
dot,
plant.
not feather.
Yeah, that was pretty fierce. But
No, please don't.
yeah.
There's residue.
Oh my God.
But-
I've worked in a wastewater. That was worse than any smell.
The
I've
fact
ever
that it
smelled
ran
at a
you
ship
out of here
plant.
was pretty frightening.
And woke him up at the same time.
You did a little smelling salts.
And all John did was burp.
These little guys right here that you see, these little dudes. So you can buy them in virtually any configuration. You can buy them in virtually any amperage or wattage output that you'd like to have. But these little full wave bridges, when you've got vintage motorcycles and you don't want to go through the trouble of finding the factory voltage regulator, or if worse yet, it doesn't have a voltage regulator and it's just using the bulbs
It has the red selenium rectifier.
God,
So
man.
there you
So,
got the little stacks
yeah.
of things and everything. And I actually took one of those. I took my selenium rectifier apart because it's just a series of plates and washers and stuff all stacked together. I took it all apart and hid that and took some of it out
Yeah.
Stack that behind everything.
Yep.
So it still looks like I'm running a selenium
Right,
rectifier.
exactly.
But at the back of that is a silicone rectifier.
Correct. And then, you'll see these things, these little orange stacks of metal. So these little orange stacks of metal will be all over our old Honda C70s and, Trail 90s and shit like that.
Fins, so it only has 3 fins with a silicone. It looks like it, but it's not.
And these were things that they didn't work particularly well ever, They didn't survive time. They did not, all that heat sink, all the amazing heat sink that's on the fucking thing, and it still didn't survive time.
Then they put it right behind a cover. It
Exactly.
wasn't open to the open air.
And they just, look, it was a fun idea when Honda came up with it.
Inside the frame.
But, keep in mind that you can take everything that Selenia...
Underneath the battery, where the battery is.
That's what I was going to say. That's usually what killed them. I haven't seen too many of them ever that tested out good, But basically, these are just a single phase, rectifier. That's all they do.
With that thing, it had the one that you were showing, the full wave rectifier had 4 posts.
Right.
So what are you attaching to the?
There's 3.
There should be 3 posts in
coming
a
off
ground.
the
Yeah.
alternator.
Oh,
Yep,
okay,
exactly.
and a ground. Gotcha.
So when you use these,
2 posts come. Two come from your alternator.
Correct.
Right. 1 is the ground, and 1 goes to your battery.
right?
Okay.
That's exactly right. And so if you are working on an old motorcycle, you can get kooky with it, but usually if you type in the words like full wave bridge, motorcycle, like Google will help you at that point. Like Google will send you where you need to be. But I discovered these things a long time ago because they were at Radio Shack for no money, almost no money.
You can still. eBay
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah, exactly. But they work really, really well, and they're extremely durable. So you can put one in a bike, and it's a great way when you've got a vintage bike and the regulators shit the bed. Well, because when have we ever worked on a 1970 whatever single cylinder, bike with that era of regulation, the power regulation, and had it work great?
That's not even regulation. That's rectification.
That's rectification. Exactly. That's rectification. That's exactly it. That's
so far
all it's doing.
I have the horn working.
Yeah, because that's AC.
Yeah, that's
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. So you've got AC power.
Yeah.
Good luck with the rest. All right. Exactly.
I have one of those sitting on my desk if you want it.
Step 1,
Yes.
Cinch, put a battery in it.
I
Yeah.
did.
Step
Yeah.
2, start it up and check it. And
Yeah.
is the old one working?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Might be working.
Well,
Right.
Now that you put that battery in it.
well, I know, but none of the light bulbs are intact. So I have to
but
then get all.
You're still going to go from 6-volt static. If you start it up, it should go up.
Right.
If it goes up,
Exactly.
it's probably working.
Okay.
And if it blows up, you did something wrong.
Yeah, well, that's a good opportunity.
What are they?
It's working really
654s, the 6-volt ones.
Yes, I believe so. If I
1064s
remember correctly.
or-
Yeah. The
1154 is a 6-volt.
6-volt. Yeah. Yeah. So this obviously, if you type in, if you're really lazy, CT90 rectifier upgrade, and there's a YouTube video right there waiting for you. And he talks about in great detail how he resurrected a CT90 with
done that
a Radio
on about a
Shack
dozen
25 amp
bikes.
full wave bridge.
So you're coming over next week? Is that what you're...
No, you don't need anybody to
You
come
just
over.
got all the full support
Right.
you needed right
Yeah.
here at the podcast. Why should I?
Well, there's a YouTube video for it and
I
everything.
want emotional support. Somebody to just rub my neck and tell me I'm cool.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because
Someone to lie to you.
You can
Right.
bring it to the compound because I'm going to try to hang it at the compound.
Right.
This week.
Okay.
You're
Yeah.
so cool,
So,
Sleepy.
and to show you what I think is cool about this
he
if you
kinda
want to look
did
at
the
this
same thing I
picture,
did.
this picture is kind of the deal because it uses the original installation slot for the Selenium
Yeah, except I put plates in front of it so you
to
don't
hide
know-
it.
To hide it.
You
Oh, that thing's way bigger
fucking
than I thought it
prude.
was.
It's a little bigger than a quarter.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. So that's
Yeah, it's a little
bit
bigger than a
smaller.
quarter. Yeah. It's got a hole in the middle, perfect for the bolt mounting it and everything else. But these things, if you do work on old motorcycles and you ever get yourself in a pinch, my go to war toolbox that I take everywhere with me, it's got a couple of these just roaming around in the bottom of it because they're cheap. And for these older motorcycles that you're like, the motor runs, but nothing else does, go right there. Yeah,
Well,
go right
that's
there.
The KE I'm working on, like the motor's completely a separate system, obviously, than all the lighting. So
Yep.
that's what definitely helps.
Yeah, these little guys right here, it undoes a lot of sins real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of sins real fast. Because when I buy an old bike like that, if I kick it over 4 or 5 times and any of the lights work the way they're supposed to, I'm shocked. Right? Yeah. But everyone's like, oh, there must be a broken wire or a rat's nest or somebody chewed on something. No, it's always just the Selenium rectifier. I don't even think they got burned up. I think they just aged out. I think whatever.
ran it without the battery.
That's the big thing. That's guaranteed.
Or they ran it without the headlight, and as soon as the headlight goes out, all
This
the
could be
bulbs
total
burn out.
bullshit.
Yeah.
But I think it actually has something to do with selenium degrades over time.
Yeah, there's a lifespan
and that
to it.
silicone lasts forever. That's
Right.
the only difference
Yeah.
is they're using silicone over
Instead of selenium. That's exactly right.
What is selenium?
I have no fucking idea.
It's in Head and Shoulders. Selsun Blue.
And it kills big gooey aliens, and
that's why we have no dandruff.
Yeah.
You know the
need it,
movie.
and you should eat it every day.
You know the
'Cause
movie.
It's good for your prostate.
You know the movie.
That's what he had for lunch.
Yeah.
You know the movie. Yep. Yeah, that's the movie. The movie's called Evolution.
And,
Yep.
yeah, David Duchovny and
Yep.
the
Just
Arsenio
gonna-
Hall. Was it Arsenio Hall?
I know
It was a guy that looked like him.
Orlando Jones.
Orlando Jones.
But I'm gonna tell you that if you have not seen the movie, it's got Sean William Scott in it and David Duchovny and Julianne Moore. It's worth watching. It's kind of fun. But it's called Evolution, and the Bauer boys use Selsun Blue every day in their hair, and that's why their hair stays so thick and dandruff-free. It also is the only thing that kills the aliens. So selenium. But that's what that is. But I just gave away the whole fucking movie. It's a fun movie. It's got a bull from Night Court.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, there's reasons to watch it. Sarah Silverman's
Is he
in
an
it.
alien?
No, he's not an alien. But it's a fun movie.
But he's not a bailiff either.
It's a totally fun movie.
So it's a total letdown.
And once you see the movie, if you're high when you see the movie, you will then run around your house for hours shouting, "Blue monkey, blue monkey." So nice. I can tell you, it only took me one watching of that movie, stoned, to know that it was a classic.
Nice. All right.
It was it. Yeah, I give it 2 pot leaves up. That was it. Yeah, back in the day, that was how a good movie was rated. So that's pretty cool.
All right, I'm ready for a smoke.
You ready for a smoke break? But I wanted to say this. There are a lot of electric scooters on the planet that cost more money. There are a lot of electric scooters on the planet that cost less money. But I'm looking forward for us doing a shootout where I want every single one of us to be riding an electric bike, scooter, and let's go out and be stupid and see who can be stupid the longest and see who has to walk.
On one charge.
On one charge. Because that fucking thing, it's the only time I've ever ridden an electric scooter on the freeway and passed people.
Homeless hitchhiking or
Oh my
other
God.
vehicles?
Other vehicles, man. Yeah, right. I don't pass homeless people or hitchhiking. I stop. Those are good people.
But Steve can't participate in this because he'll do 4 miles an hour and go for 212 miles.
But again, that's where you got to you basically by staying in a pack and having that pack mentality.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna the idea is because we're all gonna be
Handcuff each other together.
and we're all gonna be changing bikes all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was shocked at how fast it was. Then, quick trivia question. We all know that on certain motorcycles, the front tire is supposed to have a different PSI than the rear tire. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go as far as to say on most motorcycles. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, I do a lot with motorcycles and tires and things like that, as you do. Would anyone like to guess the widest variance I have ever seen between a front tire and a back tire
Well, that
per the manufacturer?
that has to be different than the normal one because the normal one was only a couple PSI off. So that's
Was it more than 20?
Yes.
Wow, that's definitely not what your Steve's is.
So when I took it out of the crate, when I took it out to take it for a spin, I had my handy dandy air pressure gauge. And I went up to the bike and I was like, well, I'm driving it home and I've already locked the door, so I'm kind of going to run what I brung. Whatever's in it is what's in it, and that's what's going to get me home. Unless it's something terrible, I'm not going to change it. So I checked the front tire, and it was 26 PSI. These are 14-inch tires. Mm-hmm. So I checked the front tire, it was 26 PSI, and I thought, well, that's fair.
Good enough.
That's good enough for government work. That'll get me home, and I don't even feel bad about that. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at the back tire, and the back tire was 24 PSI. And I thought, that's also not bad. We can do this. And off I fucked. And I drove it at maximum velocity down Interstate to Route 90 to my house. Had a damn good time doing it. And then I got home and I decided to read the manual. Fuck, man. Don't ever read the manual.
Scary shit in
Scary
there.
shit in there. Would you believe that the manufacturer that built that bike, who wrote a beautiful and concise manual in English we can all understand, recommends 19 for the front tire.
Interesting.
And 40 for the back.
Wow.
Damn.
So when I was riding home at 69 miles per hour indicated, unknown actual units, but I was like, boy, this front end feels a little light. You know, I feel like I need to balance, because normally on scooters, you don't balance the tires if they're under a certain size. But a 14-inch wheel, you should probably think about balancing that because it's big. It's 14 inches. You know, that's big. And at 69 miles per hour with momentary, like touching 70, I felt like the front wheel needed a decent balancing. But now I realize my front tire may have just been 8 PSI overinflated.
A little overinflated. It was bouncing down the highway.
Is that what the plate says on the bike, too?
It is.
Wow.
I know. I looked at it twice. I was shocked.
So I wonder if the dudes, remember when we pulled that out of the crate?
Yep.
It was at like 49,000 PSI.
It was at 50 PSI front and back.
Maybe they thought that, well, I guess that doesn't make sense either.
It doesn't make any sense. And for people that do that, the guys at the factory just put enough air in it until it catches the bead. Once it catches the bead, they're done. Off it goes. That's PDI's job. That's the dealer's job to make sure it's right, and they're not wrong. But I was shocked to find out the PSI was only 19. That's chopper back tire pressures. Like, I don't have suspension. That's Janus numbers.
It's bead rolling numbers.
It is bead rolling numbers. It is. And so, but again, I did check. I wasn't, you know, I was thinking I might have been fucking brain damaged or something. But I did put it to 19 where they intended, and I took it out and rode it again, and some bitch feels great now. Problem solved.
It's a yellow line like the 19 line.
Yellow line. I have no idea what you're talking about.
And those bikes are green and...
Oh, there is. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea what the markings on the tire mean. There's a lot of print on these tires. Like, there's a lot of print. Crazy amounts of print. Like, I have no idea why this motorcycle has not just a green line, but also a yellow line. Like, is that a cautionary line? Like you're leaning your bike too far if you're wearing out the yellow line?
I'd say you're fucking badass
if you can wear that yellow line out. You're my hero.
You're Nikki Hayden reincarnated.
Yeah, if you can wear that yellow line out. And you notice they don't put a red line on?
Yeah, right.
Or a brown line?
No.
Because I think if you go past the yellow line, you need a brown line.
You're making your own brown line.
Well, the red line's on the side of the bike.
Speaking of skid marks.
Exactly.
Skid Mark Garage wanted to thank us for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride we did last Sunday. Oh, yeah. It was a fucking blast. You can go to YouTube or whatever and type in Cleveland Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. There's a great video out. Lots of fun.
I didn't do it. The other guy, and he did a great job.
Greg Huth, our buddy Greg Huth, who did our logo. He did our video. So
it turned out
Greg
good.
did a really fun video for it. Cleveland Moto Distinguished Gentleman's Ride 2022 is a fun video. But we had a fucking blast, and it started by raining on us. And then the day precededly got better as we got drunker. So the more we drank, the nicer the weather got. That's science. You can't fuck with science.
I'm just glad I got there in time to see Kevin.
Right. You got right.
That made my day.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. We had a good time. Money was raised for charity. And all in all, I think everyone had a great time. It was fun. It was legitimately fun. And we went and everybody got to see the new Skid Mark Garage and how cool that place is. It's fucking cool. It's a nice place. It's a place that you could genuinely want to hang out in. And the fact that there are people there that will help you work on your old motorcycle is another bonus.
Absolutely.
Let's see what your money's spent on.
Yeah, that's true too. That is absolutely right. That is absolutely true. That Skid Mark thing. So much props to those guys and to the whole DGR event. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. It was really, really cool. And because we all rode small bikes, you remember in that podcast, like, I don't know, like a couple, 3 podcasts ago when I said like this, whatever you've got, if it's street legal, you'll be able to keep up in this ride. Mm-hmm. We have one Pook rider who is not fucking happy with me right now. He couldn't keep up. Oh. And we got to Skid Mark and he's like, "Are we going to be riding like this the whole time?" I was like,
"Like what?
35?"
Yeah. I had to do traffic enforcement. So there were times I jaunted ahead of the pack, you know, or up to the front of the lead of the pack. So I was varying my speed.
What kind of Pook did he have?
Pook Magnum Maxi Part 2. It was a moped.
Like a 32 mile an hour bike?
Oh, I don't know. It was breeze on.
Things should do over 35.
Yeah. What do you think, John?
I was only going 20.
It was only going 20?
Well, I didn't,
What the hell?
Yeah.
I bet he's not going 35.
No, and I think it was
35
kitted.
would be maxed out for that.
Yeah, I think it was kitted with a pipe on it, but in any
Talking
case.
about microphones?
Yeah. But the long and short of it, he was pretty upset that the ride that was supposed to be going to be safe for small bikes and stuff wasn't so safe for small bikes. But we had Trail 70s out there with like 180cc big bore kits.
Yeah, but you know what? Like you said, any motorcycle. That's not a motor. That's a fucking moped.
Look, we had
You're
mini.
riding a moped, you should be used to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it really shouldn't be a big surprise that you show up and you're the slowest guy there.
Yeah, that's true too. Everyone
That's
had
just
a great
part of
time.
being a moped. You're just like, oh, well, I'll be there. I'll see you guys.
Hey, give me directions.
It's kind of like riding with Steve Hoffert. He'll get there eventually. Yeah, that's fair.
Keep up.
Both,
My favorite Steve
Bruce and
Hoffert-
his buddy both died. They were casualties.
Both of those 90s had bad days.
Yeah, one had a bad rectifier.
Yep.
And one had a bad clutch.
Yeah, that was not a good day.
was
Chris,
not a good
you look like you got a joke for us.
Want to hear a joke?
I always want to hear a joke, man.
An elderly man in Phoenix calls his son in New York and says, "Hey, I hate to ruin your day, but I have to tell you that your mother and I are divorcing.
Ooh.
45 years of misery is enough." "Pop, what are you talking about?" the son screams. "We can't stand the sight of each other any longer." The old man says, "We're sick of each other, and I'm sick of talking about this. So you call your sister in Chicago and tell her." And he hangs up. Frantic, the son calls his sister, who explodes on the phone. "They are not getting divorced. If I have anything to do about this," she shouts, "I'll take care of this." She calls Phoenix immediately and screams at the old man, "You are not getting divorced. Don't do a single thing until I get there. I'm calling my brother back, and we will both be there tomorrow. Until then, don't do a thing. Do you hear me?" And hangs up. The old man hangs up the phone and turns to his wife and says, "Okay, they're coming out for Thanksgiving. Now, what do we tell them for Christmas?"
I just shot your mother. You got to come to the funeral.
You know what? That's pretty accurate. Yeah, pretty good. Any excuse to duck a family occasion. Yeah, that whole COVID thing, 2 years of having a free pass.
Wasn't that happiness?
Oh boy, it really. I mean, I don't want to be a dick, but I can tell you.
That was one of the most the Portlandia skit where they just learn that they can cancel things, and so like they have a giant calendar. They just spend their whole day canceling stuff.
Oh.
It's fucking amazing.
Well, not to be too much of a downer, but it's kind of sad when, like, my mom does. She's
Right.
having mental things, so
Right.
she stopped calling me and
Oh,
stopped
really?
harassing me because she just doesn't even remember, And it's kind of like, all those years when I was like, oh no, my mom called. I got to call her back.
Right,
And everything.
yeah.
And now,
Now you miss it.
now
Right.
weeks go by and I'm like, fuck, I really need to call my mom.
I'm looking forward to being in that state.
Well, you were an hour ago.
The cool thing, she's like, hey, how you doing?
John didn't call me today, thank God.
Hoffert keeps going to parties hoping that Alzheimer's is contagious.
And just think of all the new people you'll meet. It's great.
He's
Yeah.
only aluminum cookware.
aluminum underarms.
And take Benadryl every day.
I take exactly. Well, you know what? I've heard that Prestone's delicious. The dogs think so.
A little
Yeah.
lead paint, a little chewing on
It's
that.
great.
Raccoons in my house like it.
Those are your children.
Next big thing that's coming up, I guess, is going to be Mid-Ohio. So everybody get your shit together for Mid-Ohio. I know everybody's going to be there, so that's it. That's
What
going
is
to be.
this, the Triumph Club?
No, watch it. You got to watch it with the sound on. It's pretty fantastic.
It's good.
No, I
You did a
just
good job.
noticed that this section of the thing is they were all Triumphs.
Yeah, that particular crew was a really good mix of bikes. I was pretty impressed with all the different brands that were there because there's kind of a little bit of everything. So it was a really, really good time. We had a blast. It was super cool.
I think the end of July, so besides Mid-Ohio,
Yeah.
the weekend after Mid-Ohio is Fuel, right?
I think you're right.
And
Yeah.
Fuel this year, they're doing a whole outdoor thing.
So they're
with
doing it at
fans
Hale
and-
Farm and Village.
Yeah.
This is bonkers. If
Yeah.
you like,
That's insane.
That's a great
if
place.
you didn't grow up in Cleveland
Been to Fuel?
Yeah.
or
No,
Akron,
Hale's Farm.
Hey, there was me.
yes, Hale. There's Dan. Dan's beating his steed. He's beating his horse.
I was riding the bull.
But yeah, you were. But no kidding, Hale Farm and Village is beautiful. It's a historic turn of the real original homesteader style setup, and it has no business being the host for Fuel Cleveland.
Yeah, this is going to be a one-time deal.
This is going to be one time, guys. We're never going to get invited back ever again.
Exactly.
So I hope you enjoyed being at Hale Farm in motherfucking Village.
Kevin
there's gonna
looks
be
awesome.
The guy's going to be there like beating horseshoes out. The blacksmith guy's going to be like, beating out horseshoes of the thing. And somebody's going to come in and be like, lighting a J off his fucking,
Off the
it's going to
sparks
be
of it.
weird. Yeah, there's going to be sparking up. It's going to be fucking cool. Look, there's no Dan. Dan's a hero of this video,
Yeah,
by the way.
He was distinguished.
He's very distinguished. So the camera likes Dan. So Hale Farm and Village, bunch of fucked up motorcycle people. This is only going to be one time a thing. Or maybe they're leaning into it thinking that all of us are so fucking old now that we'll experience a we will appreciate a 45-minute butter churning seminar.
Free tastings at the end.
Free tastings at the end. And oh, by the way, did you see her technique?
Yeah, Helga's pretty good at that.
That's exactly right. So, all right. So that's it. If anybody else got anything else?
No.
Fuck it. That was a podcast. Ride fast, take chances.
Press the red button.